call the March council meeting to order at 7:01. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Trustee Bonkowski. Here. Absent Trustee Romero. Here. Trustee Nona. Here. Trustee Picoli. Here. Trustee Succi.
Here.
President Myson.
Here.
Treasurer Nolan Dilbert. Here. And Clerk Witsit is here.
All right. Approval of the agenda. I do not have any changes. Does anybody have any changes they'd like to make? Motion's in order.
So moved. Support.
Then moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment on the agenda. So anybody who would like to make a public comment on any of the agenda items? Seeing none, approval of the minutes. First, we have the public hearing for 2023 CDBG Public Service Funds allocation from February 14th, 2023.
I'll move to approve the minutes for the CDBG Public Service Funding meeting on February 14th, 2023.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
And I'll move to approve the minutes for the February 14th, 2023 meeting.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Consent agenda.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
If I may, I'd like to make one modification. Actually, we probably should remove the sheriff's report. I don't think we've been getting those on a, I don't
They
know.
gave it to us this month.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
in
My bad. My bad. All right, it has been properly moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Payment of the bills, treasurer's report.
Approval of February 2023 payroll of $68,177.43, and bills to be paid for March 2023, $378,504.19, for a total of $446,681.62.
Do we have a motion for the payment of bills?
So moved.
Could you make the motion?
I make a motion to pay the bills for $446,681.62.
Support.
Then moved and supported. Roll call.
Trustee Bonkowski.
Yes.
Trustee Nona.
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero. Yes. Trustee Picoli.
Yes.
Trustee Succi.
Yes.
And President Myson.
Yes.
I'll move to receive and file the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report, total village assets, actually it's monies, $5,102,997.70.
I'll support Mr. Picoli.
I jumped the gun.
Yeah, a little out of order, but that's okay. It's been moved and supported that we receive and file the treasurer's report. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Communications and committee reports. Clerk.
The agenda items for April 11th meeting are due by April 1st, please.
Planning Commission, Trustee Dilbert is absent. Parks and Rec report, Trustee Guerrero.
Yes, so just a reminder, April 8th, Saturday is the Easter Parade, lineup is at 10:30. We also discussed at our meeting the bands for music in the park, so we have 7 bands interested. We're going to choose 5, more of a variety of a genre as requested. So I'm looking forward to doing that this meeting coming up next week.
Yeah, we did have to, we were asked to give back the stage for one of the weeks, so.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so-
sorry, that's why I flashed the 4th.
Okay.
Yeah, so, July 28th, we had to cancel our music in the park.
So July 28th?
Yeah, Chesterfield Township needed it for their bass tournament that they're having. It's a big regional event that's occurring over in Chesterfield this year.
Okay, so I'll let Mark know, so that's awesome. He
Yeah,
knows, right?
I let them know.
Okay. All right. So 4, 7 days of inches.
There you go. Unfinished business. Item A, we have ordinance number correction. Clerk, what's that?
I gave the wrong ordinance number last meeting for the spending ordinance. I gave 398, it should have been 399, so I just need a motion to correct it.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported since it's an ordinance. Do roll? No? All right, moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next, under unfinished business, Channing Street handicap sign, code enforcement. So, Mr. Gro, we can have Mr. Gralchik come up, and then we'll allow you guys to come up as well after.
Excuse me, so, good evening. So last meeting, we talked about the handicap at Channing Street. And in your board package for this month, I created some documents that I went back and did the research. I also had a conversation with Mr. and Mrs. Couch that didn't go very well. But I did some research back. I found where it started with President Sims. Mr. Couch sent a request to have handicap sign put in the front of the yard. It originally started with Amherst, and Amherst referred them to the village. So Mr. Couch sent a document that basically was like a request from like a doctor's slip asking for a handicap sign, which I think is in your package so you can see what I was talking about. And then started with President Sims, and then there was a very long time frame before it got to President Kincaid. There was a few recalls in there with the village had. So it wasn't brought up again until President Kincaid took over. In that time frame, I did speak to a couple of council members at the time, and they recall having the conversation, but no vote. And at that time, they also said that there were very little resolutions that were brought to the board. They basically had a conversation, and if anybody wanted a sign or whatever it is, they got a sign. So they didn't, it's in the council minutes from those meetings that occurred. And then the very next meeting, I think it's May's meeting, DPW had put a sign in the ground. And then it's been that way since that time frame. Started with, for me, when I got into it, was because of a complaint from a neighbor on Channing Street. I did some basic research on the street. There's no village ordinance, which I mentioned last time. I also drove the street, and last time we talked about the lack of parking on Channing. So there's the hydrants are on that side, the handicap parking is on that side. And then the HOA, which I just discovered just recently, is the HOA has done something that is, I just cannot understand why they did this, and I hadn't spoke to them, so I don't know the reasoning behind it. But at North Bradford and Channing, on the southwest side, there's their mailboxes. So there's no parking on the south side of Channing, and there's no parking on the west side of North Bradford. But what they did was they created a no parking zone from North Bradford to the entranceway to the alley. So it's another 60 feet of parking that's basically been eliminated for the residents on Channing Street. So that's where we're at today. Mr. Couch, or Mrs. Couch, something that was added today to your information was a doctor's note from Dr. Lee, who is Mrs. Couch's doctor. It basically explains her inability to walk more than 200 feet. It talks about her medical condition and that she has to use a cane for that. And then attached to that is also the application that they requested for the handicap pole to be placed in front of the home, which it currently is. But there is no, I just want to remind you that there's no resolution and there is no village ordinance that allows for street handicap parking in the village. And the couches are here as well.
Should we let Mr. and Mrs. Couch speak, and then we can have council, if there's any questions,
Good evening, council. It's been a long time since I've been here, and things have changed. I don't see one face of color here. That worries me. I am 80 years old, almost 81, and it hurts me. I've been out here 21 years. And we're peaceful. We don't bother anybody. My doctor had that sign put up for me because I've had hydrocephalus. I have a VP shunt in my brain that goes down into one of the valves of my heart. I have difficulty walking. I have vitiligo, which makes my color look white, but I am a black woman. I'm ashamed because the things you need to be fighting about and questioning, there's crime going on in New Haven. There's crime going on all over the United States, and I don't see too many people fighting about it. But one little sign, we have a little bitty little 05 Honda. And because someone wants to park there because they're uncomfortable or because they don't know how to drive a F-150, I'm ashamed. I'm asking that my sign stay right there. It's not only for me, it's for anybody that's handicapped. I'm not the only handicap in New Haven and on that street. Shame, shame, shame. I ask that my handicap sign stay right there. Thank you. This is a letter from my neurosurgeon. Do I give it to somebody? Okay.
Is it the one from Dr. Lee?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll ask Dr. I'm sorry. Who? I think we have a copy.
Ask them not to disperse that. Ask them not to disperse that among the group.
Well, they got it now.
Yeah, but they don't need to pass it out and let everybody look at it.
Oh, okay. Good evening, council. My name is Wayne Couch. We talked to the DPW guy two days ago. The guy that put the sign there. And this is what he said when we were told, because the council can't find the paperwork ordering that sign be put there. Now this guy is still working for you at DPW. He said 15 years ago, there was no paperwork. Whoever this guy is up here gave the order to the supervisor at DPW, and he gave the order to his subordinates to put that sign there. And the guy told us the day before yesterday, he said that they aren't going to find any paperwork because there is no paperwork. This was all done from the president to his supervisor to our home, verbal, strictly verbal, nothing written down. And so I'm perplexed in that the neighbor who is complaining about it, he has a 2-car garage. He got 2 cars in it that he never takes out. He got 2 daughters. Each one of his daughters has a vehicle parked in there almost in front of our house. And he has the big F-150 that he wants to park it in front of our door. We've been here paying taxes in New Haven for 21 years. This guy moved up here from Mississippi 2 years ago. And so now everything is being done at his request. He wants it moved so he can park his truck there in front of our house. And it seems like everybody wants to help him now. Instead of we've been here taxpayers for 21 years, nobody wants to help us. Nobody is saying to us, we're going to see to it that that sign remains. Everybody we talk to, this guy, what's your name?
Mr. Goralski.
Okay, Mr. Grosky. And the president, Brian, they all saying, your neighbor wants that sign down. And we're going to take it down. We don't care if your 80-year-old wife needs it. We don't care. We're going to accede to this neighbor's request so he can park his Ford in front of our door. And he's got 1, 2, 3, he's got 5 vehicles. We only have the one Honda that's sitting right there. And we don't understand that we have broken no law, but somebody can come to this guy and I guess to the president and say, change it. You don't have to break the law to remove the sign. Just change the law so I can park in front of their house. My wife at 80 years old, not one but 2 brain surgeries. She's got the tube in her brain. It runs down through her jugular vein and empties excess fluid off her brain into a valve in her heart. If we are not a prime, good example of why there should be a sign there, then nobody is. She's got a ton of medical papers that we deliberately didn't bring. Nobody here is going to read all of that stuff. But then to tell us, you've been here 21 years, paying your taxes in New Haven Village. We, the council, had that sign put up. We, the council, sent the DPW boys over there and dug the hole and put the sign in. Now, some guy comes up here from Mississippi or wherever, and he says, I want that. How is it that he could come here to somebody and say, prove the legitimacy of that sign? And everybody is saying, we don't have any paperwork. Well, the DPW man that put it there 15 years ago, he said 15 years ago, there was no paperwork. That's why they can't find any paperwork. It was done by mouth, from the president to their supervisor over there, and they sent them in there. And now it's like, we gotta fight New Haven Village Council. We gotta fight them when all they have to do, the council, is say, leave the sign. We went to the courtroom down there on 23 Mile in New Baltimore, and they told us that's not up to where you get your driver's license or Secretary of State. That's not up to them. The only people in New Haven Village that can authorize that sign to remain there is the council. It's the council can say the sign remains. Never mind the complaint from the neighbor. He's not complaining that we're parking on his property in front of his house. he's complaining because he wants to park in front of our home, irregardless of the handicap sign. And so we know the council has the authority to make an exception to the rule. Of all the houses in New Haven, only one house has a handicap sign. Only one in the whole village of New Haven. And I'm going to close by saying this. I'm 78, I got cancer, put into the VA hospital. My wife is 80, and we are the only black couple on our block. And we are the only senior citizens on our block. We're asking that the council uses its authority and say the sign stays. And I thank you very much for at least listening to us. And if you guys decide you're going to do this to my 80-year-old wife, please give it to us in writing. And if you decide you're going to leave that sign there for my wife and myself, please put that in writing. And so I thank all of you very much for hearing our rebuttal to whoever the neighbor is. Thank you.
Can I add something? So I just wanted to go off to what Mr. Carter said. If in fact the village council does choose to keep the handicap sign in place, we have some type of resolution that specifies that this is the case. If there is a potential that if they're allowed to keep the sign, are other residents going to be allowed to have that signage in front of their house? Just something that you should know about their house. It's Amherst. If you're not familiar with Amherst, they have alleyways or are driveways in the backyard. They do have a driveway. Building department did find something that says they can contact somebody for putting in a ramp for their backyard to their house if they need a ramp. So there is something, Mrs. Ellis found some information about getting a ramp that was necessary, but they do have a driveway also in the back. So that's all I have, unless anybody has any other questions.
Well, I have a question. Why are you helping this person against my 80-year-old wife? Why is it that he can come to you and say, I don't like this? Okay.
All right, do we have any questions from council? Any discussion?
I would just like to have legal counsel reiterate the enforceability and the legality of the sign, if you would.
Well, I'm told by the sheriff's department there is no enforceability. And there's probably no legality as it exists now. The real question will become, we have no rules, no standards. I'm no spring chicken, and I'm going to be unhealthy one day, and a lot of people in this village are going to be unhealthy one day. Does everybody get a handicap sign? And I think that's what you're bringing up. Nobody is unsympathetic to your plight. That's not what's happening here. These people aren't like this, nor is it a matter of race, nor is it a matter of the amount of time lived here.
Well, what is it a matter of?
Now, this is my turn, okay? The point of the matter is that there is no legal basis for this sign to exist. The sheriff will not enforce it. He's made that very clear. It's an unenforceable thing, which means that whoever this person is with the F-150, or whoever the next person is that comes and parks there, if they all can park there, my question would be to the public and not to you, then what good is it? If everybody can park there, as you say, then who's being prevented from parking? So the point of the matter is look, you're the board. You can consider this. My advice would be that you take it under advisement. I'd be happy to give you a written legal opinion. All right? I'm not unsympathetic, nor is anybody on this board unsympathetic. But this board didn't sit here when that was put in. And apparently was not put in by any legal action recognized. The police don't recognize it. They won't enforce it. Now we have a problem. Then if we say, or if the board says, and it's up to the board, I don't get to, we're going to allow it, then by what standards do we set that every person who's had surgery, who is ill, who we all care about, wants one? How do we deny it? How do we deny it? So my job is to protect the entire village against legal attacks, expensive litigation. You know, John has a sign and my husband's sicker and he doesn't have a sign, or whatever. So it is not an easy problem. Nobody's unsympathetic. If there is an alternative way to come into the place, as you have pointed out, and there's help available for that, maybe that would help. But legally, there is absolutely no legal basis now for the establishment of that sign. That's the only opinion I can give. I can't make one up for you guys. It just isn't there. It's sad. It's a tough situation. But unfortunately, you guys are hired to decide. But my advice to this council would be, table it and let me look and give you a legal opinion. All right? Because I don't want to short shrift these people. I don't want to short shrift anybody in this village. But you guys are in a bad spot as the thing.
How long was
So,
that?
no, this is not. This is my opinion. If you send it to me, I will give you an legal opinion as to what your options are. That's all I can do.
All right, so I think, you know, we've given everybody a chance to speak. I think what we need to do, we had a public comment in the beginning, I'm sorry. So I think what we should do is, you know, we need to figure out what we want to do. Again, some things that I just want to point out is, one, when I met with Mr. Couch, I definitely did not say that we were taking the sign away. I told him that because we were put into a position of trying to sort this all out, and we don't have the paperwork, we don't have the, you know, it seemed like it was an action of a president that said, hey, go do this. It wasn't a vote of council. That my opinion was that this should have been a vote of council all along. So that's why I asked for this to come to the council. I don't like it when presidents are just making decisions on their own without bringing it to council. So that's why this matter is before us, and that's what I had relayed to Mr. Couch when I met with him. I guess, you know, we have our legal opinion here from Attorney Addis about tabling it until next month. We have that as an option, or we have an option of, you know, one way or another of what to do with the sign. So I'd ask for a motion from council.
If I may, I can understand where they're coming from. It's been like grandfathered in, like a quote, grandfathered in, you know what I'm saying? So now, 15 years later, you want to remove something that was already there. It's not their fault that maybe people wasn't finished or completed, but I can see the same token that Attorney Addis said, you know, not unsympathetic, but again, it was there from years ago. And it's kind of like disheartening to see to pull the sign from them now. You know what I mean? So I could probably maybe use a term again, like grandfathered in, that it can be there for them, you know. But again, the legality part is where it's most important. So I understand that too.
And I mirror what you're saying. And the truth of the matter is as Brian said, the president at the time did not really have the authority to allow that sign to go up. And that's not their fault. You know, that person should have had the courage to say, we can't do that. Right.
So there's no right trail. There's like nothing.
But I'm pretty confident this council follows rules, and, you know, we're trying to do the right thing.
Do we have a motion for tabling,
So-
or do we have a motion for one way or another?
I'll make a motion to have Mr. Addis write us a professional opinion, and then that will more than likely set the path for what we'll do. And so we'll probably reconvene next month with the decision.
Okay. We have,
You'll second that?
okay. We have a motion and we have a support. We kind of did things out of order here. Any discussion on the matter? Any further discussion?
Hello?
Should we continue? Okay. All right, it has been moved and supported. Do you want a roll call or roll? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. So we will bring it back to the April council meeting with a legal opinion from our attorney.
Thank you.
The next opportunity would be a call from the floor for discussion.
We can't give you,
Excuse me, call from the floor. Wait till call from the floor.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up we have item C under unfinished business, community center windows. Ms. Kazel.
At the last council meeting, you asked me to look at some more quotes for the windows and the doors. And Mr. Suchi had graciously given me a couple of people to call. One you couldn't get a hold of and one I could get a hold of. And their quotes came in a lot better than what quote I had. And the person I would like to recommend for the windows at the community center is the Intricate Building Solutions for $6,194.30. Are we on doors or windows?
We're on windows first.
Okay, good. Okay, so I propose that we use Intricate Building Solutions for $6,194.30. That will take care of all the front windows and the side windows facing the south on the community center. You'll also be putting low E glass in there, and that's only one.
Sandy, is that all the windows?
No, it's just the east-facing windows with the front of the building and the south-facing windows. The north-facing windows had those glass block on it, and they said it was fine.
Okay.
They were all in good shape, and we might have to get them reglazed at some time in the future, but they're fine. So we have to get rid of those holes.
Say how many?
Huh?
Say how many?
13.
Trustee Quigley.
What is the quote from United Glass that is zero?
It's not
It's
zero.
not, yeah,
It's
it's-
in the description.
in the description, like 6872 or something like that.
Yeah, so the United one, United Glass and Mirror was the one that we originally went to when we were trying to get the quote for the insurance agency.
Correct.
So when we had them quote for just the replacement of just the windows that were shot out by the,
That was $664.
yeah.
And then for total, all of it,
That
well,
was
the
all-
rest of them was 6872, so that, their quote was actually higher. So whatever 6872 and 664 is almost $7,400, $7,500.
The city
Compared,
is 1,000.
compared to, thank you. The difference from $6,194 to $7,500.
I'll move that we move forward with a quote for Intricate Building Solutions for windows in the community center in the amount of $6,194.30.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion on the motion?
I just have a question. Don't we have to add the 234 for the low E?
Probably.
For bronze, it says bronze tint.
But it says and low E. That's the only part I was confused about. Oh, but up here it says installation of low E.
A
Okay.
clear low E.
I see.
Yeah.
Clear low E.
Okay, I get it now. I focused in on that, sorry.
I don't know, did we want, I don't think we want bronze tint. All right, it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Capoli?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
yes.
Trustee Guerrero? Yes. And President Bison?
Yes.
Thank you.
And-
Next, we have 3 doors. Sorry.
Go ahead. Next up, we have the community doors.
Thank you. We want to replace the front door and 2 side doors, one for the pantry, one for the side entrance between the pantry and the community center. We had gotten a quote from Citywide Door Company. They're talking $3,200 a piece. Intricate Building Solutions for all 3 doors, we're only gonna charge us $5,700. So that being said, they're saying 3,200 times 3 is $9,600 versus $5,700. So I am requesting that we go with Intricate Building Solutions for $5,702.36. I had also wrote a memo to Mr. Micey saying that I tried to get other quotes and they never showed up. Citywide did do the bathrooms, but it took them 6 months to do it. They didn't want to quote us every month anyways. They're very busy. Any questions?
Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to have Intricate Building Solutions replace the doors at the community center for $5,702.36.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Discussion on motion. Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes, sorry.
Trustee Pergoli?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
President Meissner?
Yes.
I'm still thinking on that.
You are. New business. Fiscal year 2023-2024 budget approval. Ms. Kazel.
Has anybody had any questions on the budget this year, since we already did the budget? This will support our general millage of 9.4875, the highway at 1.85, cemetery at 0.4125, and fire at 3.0. We collected $1.9 million in tax last year. That was for general highway, cemetery, fire, and special assessments. And only thing that we are seeing that we might diminish is our highway fund for doing the project at Manning. Only thing I did remove from the budget, when we had the budget workshop, was the $45,000 from the fire. And that's the only thing I took up. That's the only adjustment I made to the budget. Any questions?
Motion's in order.
Resolution would be 2023-003.
003?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to do resolution 2023-003 for the 23-24 plus budget resolution. That's it.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Pergoli?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Suchi?
Yes.
President Meissner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kazel. Next up, we have DPW building HVAC. Mr. Porter.
Good evening. I got quotes from Randazzo Heating and Cooling. Our air conditioner went out last year, actually, but I just tried to get through it. We got through the summer without it. Just kept going without it. Our furnace, I was seeing black marks by the vents. So I called, Randazzo, and what is this? What was happening was it was just sucking dirt in. Sucking dust, right in the system, blowing it out in our vents. Probably why I always called them or whatever. But so I had him give us quotes. He said, the furnace is working right now. You can continue with the furnace. It could go out, with all the dirt, grime, things and that in there, or it might stay, keep working. So I said, just give us a quote with all 3 options. So option 1 is with a furnace and the AC, which the AC is, we try to have it refilled or with the Freon and all that stuff, it just doesn't work. Also, it's an upgraded air filter. So this air filter will, it's an ultraviolet light system that will take all the particles and everything out. The next option, number 2, is just an air conditioner and then an upgraded air filter system with ultraviolet light. And when I say upgrade the air filter system, he's gonna have to take out, or they will have to take out the current filter system because there were gaps. So it was just sucking in all the dust. So that's why the black is in all the rooms, and I was like, oh, well, that says a lot, and why everything is already the way it's dusted. You can dust it one day and the next day it's dusted again. And then the third option is just AC, which, like I said, isn't working at all. And then the air scrubber. He said with the air scrubber, it could work, and it might work well, or it might not. And being in a dusty environment, which we are, you know, trucks going in and out, opening doors, you know, the air scrubber is a system that works, like it's a house system pretty much. It'll probably work better in houses than a consistent dirty environment. So that's, but we, you know, got the, you know, something better than nothing. We got the price on that also. So these are the three prices, you know, furnace and AC with the upgraded air filter system, AC and upgraded air filter system, and then AC and air scrubber. You know, do we want to just go from the beginning? Because our system is, that building is 12 years old now, I believe, 12 years old. So I just want to get, you know, quote and see where we're at.
It's a pleasure of council.
What would be your recommendation and why?
My recommendation would probably, I'm a guy, this is how I operate, start from scratch, AC new, furnace new, the whole system new. Now we can day one, instead of, okay, AC is new, furnace is old. You know, I like to just start, that's how I 2023, we put the whole system in, now we got a date of when it's put in. Let's go from there. That's my recommendation. But at least, I wouldn't do the air scrubber because of the possibility of, you know, it not working effectively enough. You know, so bare minimum, I would go with AC and ultraviolet light upgraded air filter. But I want personally for my guys also, is just get a whole new system. We'll start from scratch. I don't know how bad that system could be from the dirt and grime and dust being sucked in. So, you know.
So how old is the current furnace, 12 years?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's not-
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. I know some furnaces last longer, but, you know, it's in a dirty environment. And with these, he's gonna enclose these cabinets for these filters and everything. Before they weren't. I went up there and I could pretty much put my hand in there. So I'm like, yeah, that's why he got all this black and stuff looking stuff. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, I guess so.
And one of the other things I wanted to point out too, you know, I know, so technically we only have one quote from Randazzo. You know, we've gone through the process multiple times now when it comes to furnaces and AC units, you know, with the Lions Club and the community center. The community center furnace, by the way, still isn't working correctly. We're still trying to get that all repaired and going. But one of the things that I wanted to point out with this quote that you have before you is the promotional discounts and the other discounts that are listed. Randazzo really throws every single discount possible at the quote. So, you know, they really do seem like they're trying to give us the best price possible. And like we know from the previous quotes that we've done, when we've gone through this process, that Randazzo's was the best price.
And also piggybacking off of what President Meissen said, I want to hopefully have Randazzo work. So we're not having three different companies. Randazzo did the Lions Hall, you know, Future Community Center. We're probably going to have them come fix the current community center. And, you know, I want to keep everything. They will be starting maintenance on this building. You know, filter maintenance and all that stuff. It's better to just have one person dealing with one company.
Apply discounts in the future or kind of like, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they actually have in here about return customer
Yes,
discount.
yeah.
So, yeah, the current community center, the furnace still is overheating and doesn't have enough cold air return. And, you know, frankly, the furnace company that put that in should have foreseen that would have been an issue. They've been out 4
Five,
times.
no, five or six times.
They were here yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
To the door.
Yeah, and I
that's
believe it's
solve
gonna
it.
be, us, so it has
Just
to
did
be.
that.
What is the manufacturer's lifespan of the current furnace that we have now? You said it's 12 years old. What is
It's 12 years old. I couldn't tell you, like I was talking to the gentleman from Randazzo, and he said it all depends on, you know, if your system's overworking from all this dirt, it could be 12, it could be 20. You know, he said it all depends. And we did notice that it was running a little more, but it's probably trying to, and then we put out a filter, I should have took a picture, it was black. And I was like, man, we just changed this filter a couple months ago. And yeah, it was just sucking right next to
And would this furnace be one that is designed to handle that kind of environment? If it does,
Yes,
I mean, we're
yeah.
not putting a residential.
Exactly, and that's what he prices on here. One that can handle that dusty environment with those type of filters and things of that sort.
Ms. Gazel?
Also, too, I noticed that our gas bill has gone up
Yeah, yeah, because
more than their usual charge. So it is working harder.
So I would support all new too, because that's how I operate as well. And I also support the idea that there's one company that maintains all of our stuff, but I do like to see more than one estimate.
well, I can go from there. Well, the other company that I
Let
was
me rephrase that.
Excuse me?
Let me rephrase that. It's not an I think
Yeah,
our community should expect us to look at more than one estimate.
that,
So that's really where I'm coming from.
okay, and I can explain that totally. We had a company prior that was supposed to do the community center that they pretty much said, no, we're good. Because they was the company that was doing all our heating and cooling, then we went along with somebody else. So I asked them to give a quote, they said, you're good. The other company that I was gonna get, well, we're dealing with it right now, so I'm just not, I know how to not say things. Just put it that way. So, and then saying that, I can go get more quotes, but then like I said, we're putting 2, 3 hands into the stuff again. When we can have, like I do generator maintenance. There's one guy, one company. They come, or not one guy, but one company that comes out. That company deals with it. If you have 2, 3 people doing stuff, so I do something one way, you might do something different. Now, you're messing with something, now it's not, just like a mechanic, they're all, I want to deal with this guy so I can, if it doesn't work, it's there. It's not saying, well, I didn't work on it, other company worked on it. Now you got finger pointing. That's the reason why I got one quote. I tried, I talked to them, and some of them pleasantly said no thank you.
And I support that, the same company, 100%. But
That's fine.
we have, what if Randazzo is $2,000 more than someone else? I can confidently say, listen, we chose to go with Randazzo because they're going to service all of our stuff and we're all going to be on the same page and we feel there's a value in that $2,000.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I was gonna phrase it. I mean, getting
cheapest
bids
isn't always
doesn't
the
mean we're
best.
not going with the lowest one, we will go with the best value. And if we have 90% of our stuff going to Randazzo, I'm gonna place more weight on that quote than I would another one. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna go with a different one, but I do think that we do need to have the quotes, and then
No, understandable.
it doesn't mean we'll take them.
Well, and that's understandable, but also, you can't force people to give you quotes either. And I've run into things like that numerous times. Like Ms. Gable said, some people just didn't show up.
You recall any companies that wouldn't come out to vote?
Yeah, but I know, you can't talk about it. I know that. The air wrong. Yeah. I'll talk to you after.
All right.
Yes.
And let's be
Yeah.
honest
And
about the
I can
company.
try to call numerous more companies, that's fine. You know, but, usually you call 2, 3, 4 companies, and if you get 2 negatives, then it's kind of like, all right, well, I got one, I got 2.
Do we know how many other pieces of equipment Randazzo services for us right now?
They installed the current, the Lionsaw current new, gonna be, they haven't serviced anything. One company is currently still trying to service a brand new system, and then that's pretty much it. The company that was doing this building, yeah.
Well, and with that being said, they don't want to come back. That kind of questions their credibility a little bit,
Well, they got a story.
or
so.
reputation, or, I mean,
Do we want to have Marcus get a couple more quotes and we revisit back in April, or?
I make a motion to approve and accept option 1 for Randazzo at $10,739.
We have a motion on the table, do we have support?
I'll support it.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion on the motion?
I'll just make a comment if I could. Not saying I don't support it, but I think that, I know we kind of gave Mrs. Kazel a hard time, I did personally last month, about, there's got to be someone else. There's not just one or 2 things.
I understand that, but like Marcus said, I mean, he's tried, people don't come here, and, you can't pull them to do a quote for you. I mean, you just can't. I mean, so why can I continue to beat a dead horse? I mean, that's just how I feel. I mean, he said to you, he's looked. I mean, how much more are you going to look? They don't want to come out here.
I would just hope in the
For
future
sure. I agree with
that we
put it out there, RFPs,
come
things
here
like
with
that.
more than one
Sure.
estimate.
I agree.
Yeah, I think I agree with Trustee Guerrero. It's, it sounds like we've attempted to get a couple of other quotes in this situation. I think due diligence is definitely important, reaching out to other companies, attempting to get other quotes. If we're having a difficult time getting quotes from multiple companies, I think it becomes negligent if we just kind of keep waiting and waiting months and months to replace the system that people are working in. I do think it's important, if we are attempting to get quotes, I do think that, at the sake of kind of creating more work for people, but documenting our attempts at due diligence on this, whether it's just writing down or shooting out an email, hey, date and time, I attempted to call so-and-so, haven't received a phone call, just to kind of create some credibility with the idea that those additional quotes were attempted, and if ever asked, we can document like, hey, we tried, we can only wait so long before we have to move forward. So that's kind of where my head is at on that.
And include that documentation in the packet, so
I
we
like
can
that.
see attempt here for companies A, B, C, and then we have quotes from D, E, and F, and that's how we do
There's
it.
no problem.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I think there was some stuff that was supposed to be in our packet for this topic, but just the way it was in the packet,
That's
shared
what
drive.
this paper is.
Yeah, the way that the shared drive or something that just didn't get included in the packet, so. But yeah, and that is something that I've given direction for our department heads, is that, if we're gonna have something, we need to document who it is that was contacted for the quote and include that with the packet, so that moving forward, we at least know who is it. Just like last month's Termed, only was able to get the one company for the geo service, but it was an open bid, it's just, we only got one company, so it's just unfortunate. It's the village of New Haven, we're a small community, and some companies just, we're too small. So, and then there's other politics that go into it as well. All right, so it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion on the motion?
That's for all of it, right? That's the motion.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Succi?
Yes.
Trustee Perpoli?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Bankowski?
Yes.
And President Weissman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We are finished with new business, so now we have call from the floor. There's a hand went up real quick. If you could please state your name.
Yes, my name is Annette Shedford Higgins. I'm a lifelong resident of New Haven. And I want to shed some light on the issue with the couches and their sign. If you go back in the minutes, had to be 2006, 2007, around in there, they came to the council and they put this before the board. I'm very sure it wasn't a presidential mandate. I'm pretty sure the council acted on it and gave them that sign, which would make it a legal sign. So where the sheriff department gets off saying they're not going to enforce it, they need to do some work. Have the clerk go back, 2006, 2007, I don't think it was 2008.
I'm gonna tell you, it wasn't in 2006 or 7. It had to be prior to that.
Right, I think 5, couldn't have been much further than that.
I was here in 2006 and it never came to me, so.
Well, 5 or 6 then, because it was
Kenny was here
right
in
before you
2002
came in
and
office.
2005.
Yeah, definitely there was a movement on it, which made the sign legal. So, yeah, you need to go back in the minutes and find that, and the clerk should be able to do that. And one other thing, there's a book of ordinances about how things should be done and the processes. I suggest that all of you take a look at that, because it'll help you. Some of the things I've heard you talk about up here, there's definitely ordinances that you should follow, especially when making decisions about spending money. Thank you.
Call from the public, or call from the floor, I'm sorry.
Good evening. Louis Kincaid is my name. And I would just like to thank the President, Ryan, and the council for putting the picture back on the wall. It was a good move. And I appreciate it. So the citizen, the concerned, very much.
Yeah, you're happy now?
Sure. I think a lot more people happy. I can get people in their grave there. Good job.
Call from the floor.
I want to register a protest against Addis, Attorney Addis. He sit there and he drew that for everybody's mind. Oh, if we leave that sign there, then another neighbor will say, well, my husband is more sick than her husband, so I want to sign also. The sign been there for 15 years. Nobody has come here and said, I want to sign too. But he's drawing that scenario. So I don't want the council to read what he's going to write. He sit there and say 3 times, disagree, not having any sympathy, no sympathy, no sympathy. Well, don't you write anything. You recuse yourself. And don't have anything to say about this, because you are already against my 80-year-old wife. You're already against myself. You don't write anything. Brian, find another lawyer, explain it to them, and say, we'll accept a legal opinion from you. But this guy has already said, I'm going to Pearl Harbor you. I'm going to put the sneak attack on you. And the whole panel is going to go for it. Everybody wants one now. We're the only people over there with one. Nobody has come here to this council in the past year and said, I want one too. But that's what he's going to write. If you do this for them, everybody's going to want one. And now you'll have to approve it for everybody. So I say, Albert, recuse yourself. You really are prejudiced against my 80-year-old wife and my 78-year-old cancer-stricken self.
This council has the ability to recuse me.
Oh, no, you have the ability to recuse yourself. It's obvious what your legal opinion is going to be. Okay.
Mr. Collins, if they go back and look in the record, they'll find out that that's a legal
Call
sign.
from the floor.
Well, if the council did, it's legal.
Yeah, they
It's
did.
legal.
I just wanted to say, the 28th, I think you said July 28th, you actually canceled the
Music in the park.
Music in the
Music in the
park.
park.
Let me, just so you know that, I mean, or maybe in the future, New Baltimore is not the only one that has a stage. St. Clair has one, Oakland County has one that's usable, and also the city of Sterling Heights has one that's available. That I don't know if you guys checked it, but that in the future, you know, this.
Any other call from the floor?
And then what Brett was saying was, we have reached out for all those places for music in the park. St. Clair will not take it out of St. Clair County. Sterling Heights will not take it out of Sterling Heights. And, what else did you say?
Oakland County, it's an additional charge if they take it outside the county.
Right.
I know for sure.
Okay, because we've reached out to all of them in the past, just to let you know that.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Should have asked you that.
Yes, you should.
Any call from the table? Or I'm sorry, call from the floor? All right. No further call from the floor. For a call from the table, I only have one item. I just wanted to give an FYI. I did send everybody a quote from the fire department, the AED that we had in the council room, and I believe we're missing an AED for the community center. So we do have a quote for 2 AEDs. It does come in under the $4,000 spending limit. So I just wanted to let you know that, the intention is to pull trigger on that. But just wanted to give everybody a FYI on that. I also sent everybody a copy of the quote. Any other call from the table?
I just have a quick thing. I just wanted to offer some support to you because I know you were given a little bit of some backlash about the snow plowing, calling a snow emergency, whatever. But, when I first lived here, there was a no parking on village streets during the winter months from like 6 or 7 or 8 p.m. to 6 or 7 or 8 p.m. in the morning. And they decided to do away with that and just call it on an ad-need basis. So, again, just to offer my support to you,
Sure.
that was the right thing to do. We're very fortunate here that we get our roads. That's all.
Yeah, we try to make the best decisions that we can based off of the predictions that we have. Marcus and I spent all day the day before watching the weather report, and they were saying 5 inches of snow, 5 inches of snow, 5 inches of snow, and then we get a dusting.
But even if they said we're going to get a dusting that's going to need salt and plow, we still would have to have the cars off.
Yeah, actually, in the snow emergency prior to that, we did have a situation in Amherst where cars were parked in such a way that the DPW could not make it through the street, which is why Macomb County Sheriff's Department was involved. They did come out, they did write 19 parking tickets in Amherst, 12 parking tickets in Decorah Park, and 5 parking tickets in Pembroke for parking during the prohibition. So trying to unfortunately have to send a message that we're doing the snow emergency for a reason. We're trying to give the DPW the ability to safely plow the streets, and like you said, we are fortunate enough that you get up in the morning and 9 times out of 10, DPW's already come through and plowed all of our residential streets. So, any other call from the table?
I just want to thank them for all the wonderful work that they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great job.
All right.
They make a motion to adjourn at 8:06.
Motion.
Support.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.